able to catch sight of Tassarolo Castle, towering above the village of the same name. The castle belongs to the Spinolas, one of the oldest families in Europe, dating back to 900. Credit has to be given to this family for financing half of Christopher Columbus' travel costs to America. The Spinolas have been working in production for years, and today this tradition continues, but with a substantial difference. 4 years ago, the vineyard estate was converted into organic farming, although its approach is focused on biodynamic agriculture.
I was living in London, making art. I was keeping track of my father's company in important matters, such as sales and the harvesting. 5 years ago my father died. I was in London with my child, and I thought that the only thing I could do was leaving and moving to Tassarolo. That's when I started going to courses, when I understood the concept of organic and biodynamic agriculture. I read several books, I visited some wine cellars and asked myself, is it possible to make good organic wine, biodynamic wine? Because to me, quality is very important. And above all, I asked myself if it was possible, since this is not a hobby, to embrace biodynamic agriculture from an economical point of view. And the answer?
The aim of this type of agriculture is not letting nature work on its own, but to go beyond nature itself and help the ground by acting on the container, the environment, and not only the content, the plant. This is a type of agriculture which implies a certain way of living, observing and working the soil. The principles on which based were formulated by the Austrian Rudolf Steiner, who gave 8 lessons about ground health in 1924. He was solicited by a group of farmers who were worried about the increasing use of chemical compost and the consequent impoverishment of the soil. Biodynamic agriculture represents an approach to agriculture where the ground is seen as a living organism, and requires that farmers take a step forward, considering the cosmic forces and how they work on the earth. Just like a person has a head, a heart, lungs and limbs, we should see the farm as a complete organism. The scope is to create a balance among the soil, plants, woods, lakes and so on, and animals. Animals are very important. This is the object of biodynamic agriculture, to create a complete organism. The company is fully active with over 20 hectares of vineyards and an annual production of 120,000 bottles, after the vintage of white and black grapes are harvested in September.
Here we are in the Gavi DOCG area, and so most of our production, say 16-17 hectares, is Gavi wine. Then we have got a small part of Barbera wine, which is red wine, and we have got also some Cabernet Sauvignon.
The main principle of biodynamic agriculture is to activate life in the ground, so that vital substances can be restored, set free and then assimilated by the plant to a necessary degree. These substances lead to a production which in this case will result satisfactorily from a point of view of quantity and quality. We start with normal practices connected to common sense, respecting the ground and the plant. These practices concern the land and trimming, everything leading us to biodiversity, so we only seed certain plants and try to alternate cultures to amplify biodiversity. This allows us to respect the balance among plants. In the case of grapes, it's the plant itself that decides when and how to feed, so we finally obtain a result which is always well balanced. There are no excesses in vigour, no fungal attacks, and not even any opposite excesses, no lacks which may bring to fruit problems or affect the plant growth.
Per poi avere degli attacchi per esempio fungini che vanno a limitare questo eccesso come accade in natura, né magari degli eccessi in senso opposto, quindi delle carenze che possono portare a dei problemi nella fruttificazione o nella crescita della pianta.
The harvested grapes get pressed, and here starts the delicate process towards fermentation and winemaking, followed step by a specialized oenologist. I have always dealt with traditional viticulture and oenology, but 5 years ago I wanted to apply different principles to what I was already doing.
Applicare a quello che già facevo dei principi diversi.
The main condition to start harvesting is that grapes are sensibly ripe. We consider the grape detachment, its consistency, and then we value the detachment between the flesh and the skin. At this point, we separate the seed from the flesh and analyze the color. From green, when the grapes are still unripe, it slowly becomes darker until it becomes brown when it's vinified.
I vinaccioli dalla polpa e si valuta il colore. Il vinacciolo da verde quando l'uva è ancora acerba, man mano che matura diventa scuro, diventa marrone, praticamente si lignifica. Un'altra cosa che...
Another thing we do is to test the consistency of the seed by biting it. When it's ripe, it must be crunchy.
Si schiaccia coi denti per valutare la consistenza, quindi dovrebbe essere croccante se è maturo.
Fermentation is constantly checked. Here we produce both white and red wines, and most of our experimentation is aimed at decreasing the use of sulfur.
Il grosso della sperimentazione è volto all'abbattimento di quello che è l'utilizzo della solforosa.
With our wines, the two we make without sulfites, people don't get headaches, stomachache and asthma, all those symptoms connected to wine allergy. And to us, this is a big satisfaction.
To reinforce the fertility of the ground and its self-regulating ability, we use some techniques such as green manure, a method to feed the soil, and alternate it in the rows from year to year with special sprays like horn manure, a humus mixture prepared